everybody! What's up? How are you doing? How are you feeling? Happy Tuesday, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Music. Woo! Okay, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are joined by soul pop artist Ryland James. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Before we bring him on, I just want to give a big shout out to Loud Army. Loud Army is a startup music tech company that we founded this podcast with. So if you're not familiar, basically they created their own streaming platform called Stream, and they give rising artists 50% of the profit. That is something worthwhile checking out if you're just being introduced right now. But yeah, they are our partners, and we are beyond grateful to have their support throughout this journey of BTM. Okay, that's all the news. That's all the news. So I'm so excited. Let's just welcome our first artist. We have his music playing in the background. This is one of my favorite songs, which is actually one of his more recent songs. To do it justice, we need to start thinking. Because that intro, it's rich. Oh, and the jazzy vibrato, I'm just so excited to have this man on the show. I first got introduced to him through CMI at their Christmas showcase and collab with TV at Union Station, and he blew me away. I was watching his entire performance, and I was like, this man has to be on my podcast. It is going to happen. So I'm so excited to have him here today. Let's listen to his songs as we greet him on today's live. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
Well, I'm so excited to have you here. You're just such a talented human being. Wow.
Thank you so much. My heart is so full just watching this whole intro. You have such beautiful energy and just, I love it.
Okay, amazing. Me too. Thank you so much for joining. Like I said, the first time I got introduced to you was through a live performance through CMI, and I feel like you really just captivated the audience. But this is not a gift that you crafted overnight. What are some of the elements that you put into your live performance to make it so engaging, but also there's intimate, but I feel it in my soul,
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it really is just time. It's time, and also just trusting of self. I think I grew up singing and performing all the time when I was younger. My parents say I was singing in the car seat from the time I was a little baby. And so I was always singing around the house. I've always kind of sang, and I guess I've gravitated towards soul and gospel, and that's what I grew up listening to. But the performance, people always, they used to say oh, you stand like a statue kind of thing. And I was always able to sing, but I think embodying that performance and presence really is just a matter of time, and it takes time to just kind of sink into yourself. And I think obviously performing on stages for years has helped with that, but I also think at the same time taking a step away from the stage at times and really just kind of going within and learning who I really am has allowed me to come back to the stage with even more comfort and even more joy, and just more of a heart-centeredness. So those are kind of the general. There's not a specific secret. It really is. It's just kind of time and dedication to self. And yeah, that's about it.
That's amazing. But it started with passion.
Yes.
As you were a child. Can you take us back to baby version, maybe not baby, but kid version of you? What were you doing? What sparked your passion for music?
Yeah, kid me I was always very creative. I was always very, very, passionate about arts. I was used to love drawing and dancing and just making skits, making up imaginary games, all those kinds of things. And so music was always kind of just part of all of that, all the creativity. And as a kid, you're not thinking oh, I want to make this a successful thing. You're just having fun. So that's kind of what it always was. I think it was when I was in grade 3, I auditioned for this musical at my school. My school always put on these big musical productions, and I got the main part. They were allowing the younger kids to do the main parts, and that just took me, like, just learning the script and learning the solos and singing on stage. Like, that just was like a door open to this world that I loved it. The first time I stepped on stage in front of people, I was like, I love this. And so every chance I got to perform in school, that's what I did. It still didn't strike me as something I wanted to like do as a career because
Yeah.
again, I was just a kid. But then like High School Musical came along. I was like jamming to that all the time, the soundtrack. I played Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Those were my vibe. Uh, so just always musical. And um, I think it was when I was about 10 that my grandma and my mom, they heard this kid singing Who's Lovin' You, I think on Britain's Got Talent. And they said, I think you could sing that. I think you could sing that. Who's Lovin' You by the Jackson 5. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll try it. And it's like a really big, like soulful, belting kind of song. And so I
Okay.
just kind of took a crack at it
Yep.
and it kind of happened. It came out, and they were both like, "Whoa, okay, this is something a little different." Like I think it kind of flipped a switch for them when I was able to sing like belt like that, and I just loved it. I was just like, "Okay, this is fun." But I think like a lot of adults started to take notice, and of course, like that passion just started to become even more embodied through me as I was finding that part of my
Yeah.
voice. And I just started really singing and going with it. And from there on, I think Justin Bieber at the time was doing covers on YouTube. So I also jumped on that train and started posting and then just performed at like local events, singing national anthems and just kind of jumping on like, little town market festivals and stuff. And it kind of just took off from there. And I've never stopped since.
You have done so well for
Thank
yourself, seriously. Yes, you've sung some national anthems, but at one of the venues, it was at the NBA All-Star Game.
Yeah,
That is freaking incredible.
thanks.
What was that experience like for you?
Insane. Probably the craziest experience I've had up to date in my career, if I'm honest. That was, yeah, just wild. That was in 2022, February, so about 3 years ago now. And yeah, it was just like they always have like one Canadian anthem singer and one American, and I got the chance to be that Canadian anthem singer. Along with Macy Gray, who was singing the American anthem. So even just going into rehearsals and seeing like, oh my God, it's Macy Gray. Like she's here with me and we're both sound checking. Like that was wild. And then the next day going in and just kind of, yeah, walking out onto the court, it's like you don't know who's going to be there. Like I didn't know who was going to be there. You don't know who's going to be sitting courtside. You don't know what the situation is going to be. You just know, oh, I'm singing for this event and I know the teams, but I don't know who's going to be there. So I step out and I was singing. Thankfully, I didn't really look at who was there because then afterward I realized like there was like Adele there was like Jennifer Hudson, there's like, Jack Harlow, just all these people. And I went and sat down and just it was this like dream state just because of that. I didn't have my phone on me. Um,
Wow.
until
What a
so I couldn't
convenient
see
time.
anything else. Yeah, I couldn't see anything that was coming in, and it wasn't until after the game that I went back to my hotel room and went on Instagram and saw like all these notifications and realized like Snoop Dogg had posted a little snippet of me, which I've pinned to my profiles, like praising me, kind of singing "Oh Canada," and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? So crazy, crazy experience. I haven't had anything like that happen outside of that. So that was kind of just like a very like alternate reality kind of vibe. But it really did. It felt good to just sing. And it felt like a full circle moment also, because that's how I started with singing national anthems in my hometown. And to go and do that was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And the key word within this story is that you haven't had any other experience like that yet. Yet.
Yep.
More are coming. Because if you were able to wow Mr. Snoop Dogg and be so confident and bolting and doing you in front of all of these celebrities, like trust me, it's gonna happen again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, so another moment that I wanted to talk to you about was, of course, Alyssa Cara
hmm
touring across Canada and the US with her. What was it like touring the country and honestly just like working with her?
Another incredible experience. I would definitely put that up there. It's a very like it's a very different experience to go on tour versus doing like these one-off big events. But I would definitely put that up there in an equal caliber of just crazy, insane stuff I've done. Alessia is the sweetest, most amazing person you'll ever meet. She is exactly how you'd imagine her to be from how she presents herself. She
Yeah.
really does stand in integrity with who she is and what she writes about. And she's exactly that person. So I had always been a huge fan of hers from her first album. When she first put out Here, it went huge. And I remember listening to her other stuff like Scars Too Beautiful and listening to all those really great songs she had just about being authentic. And at the time, I was a teenager and I was struggling with being myself and being who I was and feeling like a misfit, feeling like I didn't belong. So that music spoke straight to my heart and soul. And I remember I wasn't signed at the time or anything. I was just still putting out covers on YouTube and just still kind of writing and doing my thing from home. I remember thinking like, how can I do this? Like, I wanted to like meet Alessia. I wanted to be part of that world. I wanted
Yeah.
to be up there with her as a peer because I thought like, I want to write this stuff and that's where I feel like I belong. And so I had that vision in my head, and it was a few months later I went to the MMVAs in Toronto when they used to have it downtown. I miss it so much.
Jesus, the good old
It
days,
was
man.
so good. Like, where did it go? Um, yeah, so I got to go there, and I wanted to see her performing, and I didn't get to see her perform because it was crowded. It was like Father's Day. I like made my mom drive me to the city, and she was like, "Okay, fine." And we got there. I didn't get to quite catch her perform, but I got to. There was this, and there was no space in the audience either, and so there
Mhm.
was this guy across the street who had this store, and my mom paid him like $20 to let us go up on his rooftop to watch from across the street. So I did get to go up and actually see the event. And I got up there in time for Leslie to be accepting her award. And she was talking about some different people and she was thanking her management company. And I was like, oh, I want to know how I can like get in that world. Like, how can I do that?
Yeah.
And like a week later, I was reached out to by Tyler Shaw, who's another great Canadian artist.
Yeah.
And he said like, I've seen your covers, I've seen your music, I want you to come in and work with me on some demos,
Yeah.
just out of the blue, like out of the blue. And I was like, okay. And so I go in and I found out that the management was Alessia's management as well, the same management. So this whole giant circle, just unrelated thing happened. And I was like, this is crazy. This is like manifestation, visualization at its peak. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, like it just happened just out of like, it was just not even like just because of that, it came to be. And so
But
uh,
you're also posting on
yes,
YouTube, so like they had to discover you somehow. Like you were doing work, and then on top of that,
exactly.
visualizing.
Exactly. Yes. Both in tandem, two sides of the coin. Exactly. So yeah, I ended up in that same management company. So like a couple of years later, then naturally I was able to open for Alessia. And so she was going across Canada and the US, and that was just such a beautiful experience. I'd never experienced going on such an intensive tour. So it was intensive, because you're
Yeah,
singing every night. And it was the first time I was doing that all the time.
and it
But
was
getting to go
day
across,
after day, right?
it's
There was a showcase pretty much every
pretty
day.
much. Yeah, it's like a lot of like 3 days in a row and then a day off and 4 days in a row. So it's a lot, and especially for the type of music I sing,
Yeah.
it's like a lot of big. I'm like, why did I write all these big songs? Like now I have to sing all these songs all the
Yeah.
time, and
What
so
you do
it's
on stage is
it,
serious.
it's a lot, 100%. Like I understand those divas like Mariah Carey and Celine having to just take care of their voices because it's so true when you're touring it. It's an instrument. You really have to take care of your body. But yeah, so I was doing that and just getting to see all the fans across the country, both countries was amazing. And I've always wanted to travel, so getting to visit all these different cities at the same time that I'd always wanted to visit, just having that inspiration and also just feeling like I was getting cultured as well. It's like I'm from a very small town of like 2,000 people, way out of the city. So
Damn.
getting to go across and seeing all these people and all these perspectives, it was a lot. It was very overwhelming. And it's probably one of the most overwhelming times when I think back in my life, but also one of the most amazing and that I'm most grateful for and would not be here today if I hadn't done.
Yeah. Okay, so with that experience and everything that you were going through day to day, 3 days on, 1 day off type of thing, and then also the amount of people that you met and encountered throughout that journey, how did you manage yourself with being introduced to all of these new experiences? Like, how was it internally? Like, what was going through your mind, and how did you manage those thoughts?
It was a lot, and if I'm really, really honest, at that time, I didn't manage it as well as I probably would now. Like, I've learned a lot from that tour. During that tour, I 100% was not in a place where I was like super, like I was really going through it on that tour. As beautiful as it was, I was definitely going through it. So. I was like, I've always been somebody who takes care of my voice, and I was always taking care of that side of it physically, but I wasn't taking care of myself emotionally and mentally. 100% was not doing that. And I look back now and I'm like, that's actually the most important part because that actually allows you to then physically show up in a much stronger way.
Yeah.
And at that time, yeah, I didn't really have those tools to do that. And when I look back, it was a bit of a darker time in my life, 100%, like going through that. And I was like on my own on the road. Like I didn't have family around me. I'm so used to having family. I didn't have that family with me.
Yeah.
And this industry is a tough industry, and a lot of the people who work in it are very tough and very, they're very hardened to a lot of the sort of sensitivities of artists because it's business to them, right? And they're just kind of pushing through with brute force. So I faced a lot of that as well, and I think being surrounded by that was very tough for my sensitive little artist heart at the time, and I was only like 19, 20, I think. Um, but it definitely did make me a lot stronger. And from that tour, going straight into the pandemic right after I had some time to reflect and I think going from that crazy overwhelming experience right into this like lockdown introverted hermit time, that contrast really made me see things much more clearly, I think, than I would have otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because we hear about those stories of just how taxing touring can be, especially when you're just when you're driving from destination to destination. So I can only imagine, but good on you for doing it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure, like you said, you learned a lot through that experience, and so it's only up from here.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Isn't that interesting how life, answers our prayers and these manifestations come to life, but yet sometimes we're still not 100% ready, like you could be ready vocally, but you're not ready mentally, I could be ready based on my skill sets, but like still maybe my life isn't together or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that's so interesting how those things happen.
100%. Yeah, there's so many different aspects of you, and yeah, it's crazy like that you say that totally because it's like you think you want success so often, but you can actually be very afraid of your own success when it actually arrives. And I think I've definitely witnessed that in my own life. So many moments where the thing comes and you're like, "Holy, I wanted this so badly," but it's almost like you really do. You have to. It's like you're going in like levels almost, and it's like you have to be ready to grab it and yes, like you said, like do the work to be able to hold on to it because it is a lot. Like to take it from your head and actually put it into reality.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what would you say is one honest truth about the music industry that you think is underrated?
An honest truth that is underrated. Okay, this is so it's so underrated because I underrated it for my whole career, but I got this piece of advice from Alessia. She said it to me as well. She said, um, just like know who you are and stick to your guns and like be yourself and like say it, be it, own it, whatever. And I always just took that as like, okay, yeah, like just, yeah, be yourself, like just kind of do your thing, whatever. But I think I've taken that now to like, for me, it's a much more serious thing now where it's like, no, like own your art and own your career and own your business and own like who you are because you deserve to be here. And there are going to
Yeah.
be like a lot of people in this industry. Like I said, it's a tough industry. There are a lot of people who are wanting a piece of the pie and who are kind of just batting you around or not believing in you. You're going to get a lot of no's. It's kind of like I think when I first entered the industry, I thought like all these people were like the good guys kind of gonna take me on a ride kind of thing, and I was just gonna be able to be like this artist and just stay sensitive and soft. But and you want to be that, but at the same time, it's like you have to be strong as well. You have to be really strong and really like own who you are and stand in that truth. And that can take time as well. And that's definitely what happened to me. But I think I would like emphasize the importance of that to any artist or anybody who wants to understand the industry more, is like just like really standing firm and like not being afraid to be like, honestly, as the artist, not being afraid to be too much in that, in your expression and in owning who you are and what you stand for, because I think that's so invaluable, especially when you're seeing yeah, so many hands that are wanting a piece of it, and there's so much pressure, and it's just like, to preserve that light that you are as an artist, I think you really have to protect it and really stand strong in it.
Oh, and that is sometimes the hardest thing to do, especially as a young person,
Yeah,
because you're still learning who the
absolutely.
hell you are.
Yes. You're still learning, you're still growing, and yeah, I know, 100%.
That's crazy. I remember, like, obviously my experience does not compare, but I remember in uni looking at some of the leaders that were around me, and I was just like, wow, I was just so blown away of how confident they were in who they are, you know? And
Mhm.
it's like nothing could take them down. They just knew strong-heartedly who they are. And I was just like, how? How?
That was the same as me, and that's exactly, you're 100%. And like, there is a component of time that's like necessary. You have to like grow
Yeah.
into yourself. You have to learn who you are. And I thought the same thing. It's like, how are they so strong? Like, even other artists, like, how are they so strong and so confident? And so, yeah, I guess you're so right. Like, sometimes it really is, you have to go through all that pain and that hard stuff, and like, fall on your face and get up again to realize, like, you know what, I can make it through anything. I'm still here. Did I die? No. I'm still alive. I'm still pushing forward. And as long as you can keep finding that strength, that's it. And that's, I think, what makes a leader 100%. It makes you strong in who you are.
Amazing. I love this conversation because it's like empowering. I feel like when I was younger, I was really afraid of the lows in life and I would do anything I could to avoid the lows. But you need the lows to get better. You need the lows to gain that confidence, to improve yourself. Like, you need those lows.
Absolutely. Couldn't
It's,
agree more.
that's something they didn't share on Disney.
No, never. I want my money back.
Okay. Well, one of the lows you had to experience or you went through was losing your deal with their record label.
Yep.
What was that phase of your life like?
Yeah, so this is something like, this is an interesting one, because I went through a period after I was out of Universal Music Canada. I had a deal with Universal Music Canada from 2017 to 2022. And yeah, I haven't really spoken much about this, just because I haven't been in a lot of public outlets like this. I've been kind of in creative mode and have been dealing with the repercussions of that for the last couple of years. But now that I'm kind of back and putting myself back out into the world, sort of career wise, I think it's so important to talk about, not only for myself, but for other artists, just because I think so many artists went through. I've heard like even Chapel Roan talking about it, most notably recently, talking about, how she was dropped by Atlantic right in the kind of middle of the pandemic. That happens to a lot of artists,
Yeah.
who were
Coffee
previously.
recently. I don't know if you're familiar with Coffee, the reggae artist.
I
Coffee.
think so.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
recently started his deal as
Wow,
well.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so many too, like even smaller artists like that I know of, that I was peers with. We were finding out left and right back in this time, like, oh yeah, they were let go of by Universal and Warner and Sony over here, the big three. So it was just a crazy time through that pandemic of this whole big shuffle, it felt like, where a lot of established artists who were doing quite well for themselves were being dropped, just because at that time the industry took this really hard turn into sort of, the TikTok land, where it was just very much like the sort of
Oh,
really quick sort of snippets you were hearing, like these viral songs. And so labels were really like grabbing these
Getting to
artists
them.
and signing them quickly, and but then also dropping them just as quickly because that was the business strategy at the time. So it was very interesting how they were kind of dropping a lot of artists and then picking these up, and then we see it's kind of become this hybrid now, but that's what was happening. And yeah, I was just putting out new music at the time, a couple new songs, and um, the news to me at the time, it didn't affect me that much because I just always thought like, well, I'm still, me, and I'm still
Yeah, I'm
writing great music and
so
still
great.
working. Yeah, exactly,
They can take the
exactly.
deal, but they can't take the talent.
No, they can't take the art out of the artist. And so at the time I was like, I've still got a good team around me and I've still got, all these good things kind of going for me. Just because the deal isn't happening anymore doesn't mean that I can't find another way to put music out into the world. And at the time I was in a new phase of writing, so um it was fine to me. Um, Now, over time, definitely there was, and I needed this period of time, the last few years, to really go within, and I was able to step away and kind of find some other creative outlets that I enjoyed. Kind of had like an awakening to myself on a deeper level, like spiritually as well, just seeing more of who I am, more of just being present, being here now, like what really matters. And my creativity really flourished during that time as well. Um, and so I think during that time, I was able to look back at the period that I was with the major label and that I was sort of chasing this mainstream success. And I was able to see how much of myself I was sacrificing and how much of myself I was putting in a box to play the game
Mhm.
and being like a cog in the machine in a way. And it's funny because, as artists, we're told so many times by people in the industry, like, oh, just that same thing I said, like, oh, be yourself. We love authenticity. But then when you actually step into that authenticity, it's like, oh, well, we don't really actually like that. Like, we
Yeah,
like
we don't
when
want
it's
this part. We
contrived.
don't want that part.
No,
Just
we
listen
kind
to
of still
bone.
want it to be
Me.
contrived. Yeah, exactly. So I remember just like just before I had left Universal, there it was just getting to a point with me where yeah, just having to post like content and make content and be like an influencer artist and just trying to chase trends and just trying to fit myself into this box, like it was really getting bad for me, like mentally and emotionally, kind of the same way as trying to go and grind, because again, it's like when you're an artist, you're you need space and you need time to just be you and to allow what's already within you to unfold rather than trying to keep forcing something to happen just for the sake of success and status and money and all these things. And that's what labels are very much after, right? Is and especially more and more so in this day and age as that becomes more of a pressure. So, yeah, that was definitely an interesting time for me to realize and look back and see like, oh, actually, yeah, I was really in that rat race, and um, I think like it's like situational for each artist. Like it's not just because that was my experience doesn't mean that's the experience for every single artist. And some artists like doing that whole game and playing the game because that's exactly just what it is. It's a game. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is. Um, but for me, being an artist who was wanting to dive deeper into being, just seeing how deep I can kind of go into the well of my own creativity and seeing, how much meaning I can pull out. I think being in a major label system was not the best for me. And I look back now and see it as a blessing in disguise when I see the whole story.
Yeah. Wow. Good for
Thank
you. That's
thank you.
amazing. That's actually, yeah, that's perfect. That's how it should be, actually.
Thank you.
Did it take you a while to get there mentally, or was it just like pretty straightforward?
It took me a minute. I think just because I wasn't focused on it at the time. I didn't focus on like, oh, I've been let go. Like I just kind of thought, oh, okay, well, whatever comes next will come next. I've always had that optimism, I think, where I'm like, okay, well, if another label wants to sign me or if I want it, we'll figure it out, like. And so I didn't think of it like it was this dire thing. And but it did. It took me a time to kind of like undo, I think, the conditioning in my own mind of like what it means to be an artist or a singer or to be successful, because when I was young I always learned that because you just look at what's on the surface, right? You look at like these talent competitions and these huge famous artists, and you just think, well, if I can get there, and be in front of these huge crowds and having, millions of followers and sold out arenas and stadiums, then I've like made it. And so how do I get there? Well, the step-by-step process traditionally was you go to a major label and you do the whole thing that I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought that's what I wanted until I was in it for a while, and then I realized, oh, I'll never actually fill this sort of like void that I have within of wanting that validation and wanting that success until I like actually hone in on what feels like that for me and heal those parts of myself. So those few years after leaving Universal gave me that time to really sit with myself and not be this like major label artist, and to kind of like shed my identity a little bit. A lot of my new music's about that. It's about shedding that old identity and that old vision I had for that, streamlined mainstream success thing, and able to kind of say like, hey, there's like a different version of success for me, and to be a true artist, who cares if, I have this many followers or I'm signed to this label or I'm doing this thing. Like, it's just about the infinite sort of unfolding of like me just being creative and in the process and being present in that and enjoying working with the people I'm working with and getting to have those beautiful moments in the studio and getting to have those beautiful moments even if I'm doing a show with like five people. It's like I'm connecting with those five people. And so I had to really like, yeah, undo, I think, my mentality about what it means to be happy and successful and turn it more into like a just gratitude in the present moment and seeing what's right in front of me.
That is so beautiful. That's amazing. Good on you for doing that, going through the healing
Thank
journey.
you.
And I love this perspective too, because I feel like still till this day, a lot of people do believe in that blueprint and that one road. But you're here showing us all that there's more than one path and success doesn't have to look a particular way. And I'm sure now you are also pursuing music with a more with an ease in your spirit.
100%. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Okay. So you mentioned earlier, like since then you've been cooking, you've been doing some stuff in the studio. I I feel like I was listening to some of your older music and I just feel like even to now, like from then to now, I feel like your music has always been soulful pop. So what makes it even more authentic this time around?
Yeah. Thank you. I think so. Yeah, it really does. It boils down to kind of that story I just told about
Yeah.
being in that major label system. When I first entered into the industry, it's like that was the mentality, right? That was my mentality because that was also put on to me by all the people I was working with who brought me into the industry. It was like, okay, we got to get you in the studio, we got to get you working with, the big producers, the big songwriters. We got to get you to LA, we got to get you to Europe, we got to get you to these places, we gotta get you working, we gotta get you like with all the different people, we've got to get your sound, like we've got to get your brand. It was all like, as much as they were, I think, seeing that I was able to sing and had this soulful voice, it was still all very much like the mentality of business and contriving something that would like work to be sold to the masses. And so that was very much what it was at that time. And I didn't know better because, again, like we were talking about earlier, it takes time to grow into yourself and you need time and space and experience to understand those contrasts of life and what you do like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that experience at the time. So yeah, was just kind of doing all of that when I released the first EP. Like up to that point, that's what it all was definitely still me gravitating towards the stuff I liked, but it wasn't quite at that level of soulfulness of the knowing of self that I have now. It was still all me, writing stories of things that it's like, oh yeah, like I'm just writing about relationships, even though I've never really been in one. And oh yeah, I'm writing about this, even though it's never like I'm having fun, just kind of writing songs, but never really hitting like that vulnerable core center of my experience
Yeah.
because I didn't feel like my experience was worth writing about at the time too. There was a lack of self-worth there where it's like I felt like I had to contrive this mask and I felt like I had to contrive these stories that would fit and that would seem cool. Um, And I'm still proud of all that music, and I think it definitely speaks to who I was at that time. But coming out of that phase into this time, the whole entire way that I created this new project I'm working on was completely different than the last one. I was going into the studio with like the same people over and over again, which I'd never done before. I was going in and working with the same producer, and I was going in and working with the same writers, the same small group of writers, and we were actually getting to know each other more deeply. We were actually like
Yeah.
talking more deeply about things, and there's so much to be said about that relationship that you have with those people that you're working with. And I was
Sorry,
given
and what?
that
Sorry,
space.
I'm just curious. Was those people selected by you?
They weren't selected by me actually in the beginning. So some of them I had written with from earlier on in like a publishing deal that I had. So in publishing, it's like you're meeting, there's a bunch of writers and
Yeah.
they're putting together writing rooms and stuff. But so some of them I met through that. And then producers I met some of them, or there was my main producer Sam I met through management at the time, I believe.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so it was like kind of a combination, I think, of like just sort of meeting people that I gravitated towards. But in the past, it's like, again, it was that revolving door of just like so many different people you're writing with and going and doing the whole thing. But this time around, it was like I was actually sitting with these people and going back into the studio over and over with them and getting to know them more deeply and really just that those relationships are so important when you're creating and being creative, because there's a certain depth of vulnerability that also comes out when you know someone more deeply and when you're willing to share more. Because it's like when you're meeting someone for the first time, regardless of how open you are, there's usually still somewhat of a wall to get into that core until you've really broken through it with that person, can trust them. So that's what it was with this. And that in combination with me also getting more vulnerable with myself, sitting with myself at home in that solitude and stepping away from all that loud noise of the mainstream and not having to do all those boxed in things anymore, I was becoming just, it was like just extra vulnerability on top of extra vulnerability. And so I was able to actually hear for the first time through my own intuition what story I wanted to tell, like what I wanted to say, what my story was, what my experience was. And I was more brave in owning that story and thinking like, you know what, my story and what I've experienced is good enough, and you know, the right people who need to hear it will hear it. And yeah, before that I just thought my story wasn't worth anything. I just thought, well, people won't think it's just it's whatever, it's like it's just me, it's people don't really care, people just like my voice, whatever. But this project has become like, no, I have a story to tell and I have something to say, and I feel like it could really help people, and I feel like it could really add perspective. So yeah, this new project I've been working on and the songs that have been coming out 100% are just so much more, and just so much more me, and I'm so much more excited to put them out into the world. And I always, the litmus test, I think, of knowing when a song is your best and is your story is when you wake up like excited to promote it. Because as artists, it's like, you know, we're in this time where it's like you have to promote everything so hard on your own. And in the past, it's like I was always like, oh, this is so cringy. Like, I don't want to have to promote this song a million times. Whereas now I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, like I'll post it like 3 times a day. I love this song. So that's definitely the feeling that's changed. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Okay, okay. Well, I can't wait to hear more. A part of those projects is The Reason, which is one that we were listening to earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that song's amazing. I freaking love that song. That song's so soulful, and it's just, oh, you did such a good job starting the song too. I was
Thank
like, he
you.
started with his vocals. I was like, ugh. I
Thank
feel like
you.
that's your strength as well. So it's just like it makes sense to start a song like that, you know? That's some
Mm,
vibrato.
thank you.
It has. Okay, wow. Oh my gosh. So, what I love most about this conversation is that we're basically saying that being young is overrated.
Yep. Tell me about it.
You truly do have to experience life in its fullness to truly understand what you want and how you want to achieve it.
Mhm.
It's quite interesting. I loved hearing your story, though. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. You mentioned there that, people will naturally gravitate to it and people will listen to it. People will also feel it. Like,
Mm.
that's for sure. Like, they'll feel the depths of your music. And also when you perform live, they'll feel it as well. So I just feel like you're such a powerful performer and you have such a powerful story and journey, and you're gonna go far, and I'm just very excited for you. So
Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
no, you're so welcome. This has been a lovely conversation. What are some of the releases coming up?
Yes. So I put out The Reason and then Thank the Rain and Long Way Home. Those are my songs that just came out. And then upcoming, I have a few more songs coming out in the next couple months. So keep an eye out for that. And that will be leading up to the completion of my second technical body of work project. I think that's the first time I'm saying that publicly. So you heard it here first. My second body of work. Yes. I still haven't named it yet, so I have to think of that. But yeah, it definitely is the most soulful, deep, just it's like my child. So please listen to it. Those are the main things coming up here. And yeah, I'm just so excited to finally put it out into the world after these few years of working on it.
Yay! I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it. I already know it's a bop. I already
Thank
know.
you. Thank you.
Real quick, I just want to shout out a few people that are watching. We got people who met you at Walmart. We have people
Ooh.
who met you
God,
during
that's true.
Lucia Cara's tour.
Slay.
So,
Just
shout
here,
out
there,
to everybody in the
everywhere.
comment section.
Yes, shout out.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. Okay, well, this concludes today's episode of Behind the Music. For those who don't know, please tell the people where they can find you, where they can find your music, your merch, all the things.
Absolutely, yes. Social media is just here on Instagram. It's Ryland James Music. I think that's it for YouTube and Facebook as well, and Threads and TikTok, all the social media apps. And then, yeah, I have the official audios and also some visualizers for these songs coming out on YouTube soon. And then all my music is just everywhere you listen to music: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Pandora, and all the streaming services. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. This has
Thank
been
you.
a terrific episode.
This is
For
one of the
those
best
just tuning in.
chats.
Oh yeah, sorry, say that again.
This has been one of the best chats I have had in a long time. So thank you very much, Latoya, for having me on this. This is amazing.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
That's today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more conversations with artists in Canada.